All right, so the illegal alien slash murderer who escaped from prison has been captured. Let's see how it all unfolded.
State Police Barracks in Avondale, Chester County, where Cavalcante is being held. Deanna, we've been talking to you on the phone. We're finally getting to see your face here because you've been all over the place. Tell us about how this all went down this morning.
Well, you heard a little bit of it from Brian there. We can tell you that it was overnight that a federal plane picked up what they call a heat signature. And overnight they tightened up that perimeter. You had that perimeter that was miles wide, miles long, and they were able to kind of zero in on one area. First thing this morning, I talked to a team out of Montgomery County. They were on the ground there getting ready inside that interior perimeter there. One source telling me we believe he's in there. Actually, we know he's in there, that source told me. And it was just about a few minutes later that we started hearing they may have him and that he's been caught. We can tell you he is inside the state police barracks here at Avondale. He'll be transported in that Bearcat vehicle that you saw Skyforce 10 following from the scene there from northern Chester County to here to southern Chester County. He's going to go to a state prison. We know that once he was spotted, once there was movement on the ground when the SWAT team went in, that it was a police dog that subdued him, that he tried to crawl away, still having that weapon.
And here is the heroic dog that this beautiful puppy that got this illegal alien. Apparently, the dog bit him in the scalp and was able to take him down at that point. So this illegal alien slash murderer could be taken into custody. All right, let's keep going here.
And despite having that weapon, and we're told a fully loaded magazine, no shots were fired here. The best possible outcome, despite the fact that this hunt took 14 days, but no one was injured. Cavalcante, we have seen in photographs, was bleeding from the head, but that bleeding quickly stopped. He's wearing that Eagles sweatshirt. It looks like there's a little blood on that sweatshirt. He had his clothes cut off of him, I'm told, before he was loaded into the Bearcat, brought here to Avondale. And we'll be able to tell how much he's really cooperating by his length of stay here. If he's going to tell police everything he knows, who helped him, how they helped him, what he did, that may take a little bit of time. Of course, he doesn't have to tell them anything, and if he chooses not to speak to them, then he could be booked, photographed, and then...
I'm really curious to see, to know who helped him with the escape and how it all happened and all that.
Sent to a state prison. So it really will be how long and how much information he wants to give. And just the fact that he's in custody at this point does not mean that this case is over. You still have the investigation as to how he got out of the prison in the first place. Obviously, we've seen that video of him crab walking up to the roof. We're told he used a towel to cover that barbed wire to get out.
Okay. So now we know he used a towel to get to avoid that barbed wire from cutting him. That's how he pushed through. So I didn't know that. That's good information right there.
A guard may have missed seeing him on the grounds there. Was there a distraction? Did he have help from other inmates? That's all going to be part of that investigation. What more does Chester County need to do to secure the prison? That'll be a secondary investigation. And then the investigation into what has he been doing for the last 14 days? Who knew what he was doing? Who knew where he was and who was helping him? We do know that some of the items that he had when he left the Chester County prison was just the clothes off his back. And over the last 14 days, he managed to change his appearance. He managed to change his clothes. Somehow he was getting food. We know that from some of our sources that when he was arrested in the early 2000s in Brazil, that he was able to survive in the jungle for quite some time before entering this country illegally and remaining pretty much off the grid. That is until that homicide that he was just convicted of. So they're going to be taking a hard look back at all of that.
That's a lot of good questions there.
And again, you've heard it over and over. If anybody helped him, if anybody provided assistance, if anybody didn't tell police what they knew right away, they're going to figure that out, and that'll all be part of the investigation there. The Attorney General has come out and said her office will be charging him with escape, and she is continuing that investigation as well. So despite the fact that he is in custody, the police investigations around all of this, far from over. That's the latest. Back to you.
All right, so there are some good questions in there. How did he get the clothes, the Eagles jersey? How did he get that? How was he able to survive for 14 days? As you heard, when he was in Brazil, he was able to survive in the jungle for quite some time before he got into our country illegally and murdered somebody else. which is why we need a closed border. But that's another story for another day. But this is a prime example right here. But anyway, I found out that when the rifle that he stole from a garage, yeah, and he was shot at by the owner. Unfortunately, the owner missed. I wish all the bullets landed on him, but he told law enforcement that he wanted to use that rifle to carjack somebody, drive to Canada, and get back to Puerto Rico. That's what he told law enforcement. So he had another agenda. It wasn't just escape from prison, run and roam in the woods. He says that he knew he had to pay for what he did, which is murdering his ex-girlfriend, because apparently she was going to go to the authorities on him that he was illegal, in the country illegally. So he killed her. But anyway, he said he didn't want to pay with his life. So he knew he had to pay for the crime that he did, but he wasn't willing to spend the rest of his life in prison. So he broke out and he made the choice to escape and take a rifle. He was in a long shot that he was going to carjack somebody and drive up to Canada. This guy had a whole plan. He had it all mapped out. He was going to find a way back to Puerto Rico. But you know what? I'm so glad that didn't happen, because somebody else could have been seriously hurt or killed, and this guy would have been on the loose. He would have wreaked more havoc in Canada and possibly Puerto Rico. Unlikely in Canada, because he wanted to get through Canada unscathed and then go to Puerto Rico. But who knows if he would have ended up back in the United States somehow. You never know. Well, he would have been plastered all over. He would have been a most wanted slave, you know. But who knows? Anybody's walking through the border now. So, but authorities would have caught him at the border. Likely would have, but you know, still, the fact that he was able to get here tells you what we need to do about the border crisis, because this thug was able to get through. And yes, I said thug. A lot of people get offended by that for some reason. When I call somebody who's killed somebody a thug, they get offended. What else do you want me to call you? You just killed somebody. I don't get it why people, liberals, are so sensitive. Anyway, I'm glad this guy was caught, and I want us to know what else is going to happen with the prison, how the investigation of how he got out, who was helping this guy, what are they going to do to secure the prison, because apparently Pennsylvania is dealing with more inmates escaping, and I will look into that. But you can't have things like this happen, because the citizens were scared. The people in that area where he was, there were people that said that they had officers on people's porches overnight with rifles. And they said they never felt so scared but yet so safe at the same time. So shout out to law enforcement who got this guy. Shout out to this dog, the helicopter, and everybody coming together, Border Patrol, the police, state police, and all that. They did an excellent job of capturing this thug. And hopefully he spends the rest. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars, and hopefully he will not escape. But fascinating story here. And I don't like reporting on things like this, because, you know, it's scary. Just imagine, you being in that situation. Somebody roaming through your neighborhood who's on the loose and who is armed and dangerous. Scary to think about. But all right, guys, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Take care.